House. 8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability. RTD Live Talk, Thursday, the 31st of May, the last day of the month of May 2018. So this is the 3rd day straight. I'm setting records here. I'm excited. I was looking forward to getting down tonight and chiming in live. And my biggest concern was we got the NBA finals on. And I'm like, hey, I'm a basketball guy, but I'm like, oh well, I gotta go talk to my peoples, because it's a live talk, and it's not live unless Mike shows up to present an opportunity for people to chime in and share what's on their mind. So, as always, let me check in and see who's joining us. Charles H., hi everyone. What's up, my friend? We got Scott, we got Merritt Man, we got from Bakersfield in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And as always, give it a second or two before I begin just chiming in on what's happening. Also want to find out what's any developments, anything in your neck of the woods that might be worth mentioning. And then also just talk about some of the mainstream stories. And so I'm actually tonight I'll actually pull up some of those stories so we can get a chance to see exactly what some of those topics are. And other than that, as always, we got 30 minutes, so we're on the clock. Let's be short, concise, and to the point. Let's talk. Let's have some real talk. So other than that, if any new viewers, chime in or tuning in rather in the chat to the which would be left of your screen or to the left of your screen, either one, or beneath, depending on which device you're looking at. Let me know where you're checking in from and go from there. But if anyone had a chance to check out the video I did earlier, which is like a summary of which is a summary of like 3 events that I came across at that time, and it had to do with these tariffs, which seem to be picking up pace. And so without even really knowing any of the full-fledged details of it, it's interesting how, the whole Make America Great slogan, campaign, promise that President Trump ran upon has to do with what appears to be he's shaking a lot of things up. And it's all being sold in the name of better refining and getting a better deal from all the things that have been put in place over the last couple of decades, which have really hollowed out the manufacturing sector in our economy. And so, it's unfortunate that over the last umpteen decades, Kenyatta Vance from Phoenix, Arizona, welcome. It's all my adulthood years, especially being in the Motor City. I remember when I was younger, especially in the inner city of Detroit. And for those that may not be familiar with it, of course, you hear your stories, whatever, about how bad Detroit is crime-wise and how Detroit is just, a hollowed-out city, which it, for the most part, it is. But yet, during my younger years, it used to be a thriving community. We were literally 1 million strong in the city of Detroit. And I know the area I grew up in, the neighborhoods were packed with kids and houses. And so I happened to be, grew up in a center part of the city of Detroit. Not on the east, not on the west, but right what I call on the borderline. So for those that may be familiar with Detroit, Woodward Avenue is the main road that goes from downtown Detroit all the way out to the burbs. And that street used to be flooded with businesses. I remember just walking up and down, heading to school, and just seeing all types of shops and people. And you drive by those areas now, and it's vacant lot, vacant buildings, vacant houses. It's a mess, man. And that has a lot to do with all the deals that were put in place, which basically shipped out jobs overseas, all in the name of, we have some people saying greed, some people saying, and I can understand from a business standpoint, wanting to save money. And because you also have the unions, this demanding astronomical amounts of money per hour for people to sit around and just, you know, do jobs that don't really require the pay. And so factor all that stuff in, you know, we got shafted on a lot of the deals by design, of course. And so I kind of commend the idea that at least he's willing to shake some things up and piss some people off. And of course, the initial shock will be uncomfortable for a lot of the service sector jobs here in our country, because we no longer produce anything. But yet on the service side of things, in the office with suit and ties, the white collar jobs, you know, people are pushing paper that's related to all those same items that are now manufactured outside this country that get shipped back in and get sold for us and through us or whatever. But so there, as I mentioned in that video earlier, that this shakeup, even though it is it's questionable as to how it's going to play out, but it's good to say that the long-term benefit might be something that has some promise for our country. Tony B, what's up, my friend? How you doing? And so, speaking of what Tony just talking about Detroit and how when I grew up, how the city was thriving and how now it's not what it used to be. Even though downtown there's more action and there's more things being built from the downtown outward, but the problem is most people can't afford it really. So it's going to be interesting how this recovery in the city of Detroit happens, because if we're not producing cars, I'm not sure what else we're doing in the city of Detroit, or based around the city of Detroit, because there's factories all outside. You know, all the suburban areas have somewhat, you know, industrial park type places where there's factories, and there's a lot of tool shops and die shops, all types of shops geared towards manufacturing cars. And so long as we're able to manufacture cars, we should be fine. But if not, I'm not sure what's going to happen. But that's just me checking in, and so that has a lot to do with the video I did earlier. So we got 63. That's a lot of numbers there. But I got you from Louisville, Kentucky in the house. And I was also, you know, one thing I follow, if you guys, you know, have tuned in before, is I really pay attention to the pension situation. And I know that I came across some articles that I wasn't able to put out there, but, you know, Kentucky, of course, California is going to be the primary, going to be the most damage done with the whole pension fiasco. But yet Illinois, Kentucky, Rhode Island, and hell, Massachusetts. There's so many states that's in trouble with pensions. But whenever I hear or see Kentucky, I'm thinking about, man, like I know that not long ago there are some strikes. People were taken to the streets striking because of cuts and stuff like that. And so a good way of getting an idea of how that's all going to play out, just pay attention to what's happening in Italy and Greece. Just recently I read an article about in Greece now, let me see, the average Social Security type of payout per month for senior citizens is 600 euros, and it hasn't been adjusted in quite a while. So it's a lot of people out there that's pissed in Greece, and that, I'm sure it plays into Italy and all throughout the European countries, because it's so expensive there, and those benefits, those payouts won't really cover it, and they don't keep up with inflation, and that's unfortunate. Ryan James, what's up, my buddy? Anybody pick up those new 2018 Silver Perth Mint Tiger Dragon coins? So nice. For Lauderdale, tune in. What's up, baby? No, I have not. Australian Perth Mint. I really haven't. I'm more of a Silver Eagle guy, and then I love, which I haven't. I'm generic rounds to the T, just because I'll save a little 40-50 cents or whatnot. Because I'm a big believer. If you haven't heard or don't know, that for me it's all about, you know, just accumulating weight. And so the type of weight and the design of the weight and the sexiness of the weight, I can do without that. I'm more so just want to make sure I have, as some people say, you know, you at least want to have your body weight in metals, but I don't prescribe to that particular methodology. But get your weight up is what I say. So make sure you're sit nice and heavy, so you're not blown away when this financial storm comes. So. And also, you know, just weight holds things down, as opposed to all the digits and paper. That's all that illusionary type stuff that's going through the system. That will be blown away come next economic crisis. Any stackers here? So that's a good question. You know, I'm sure a lot of people tuning in that we are, as I say, monetary metal enthusiast. And so stackers, I've always believed that stackers sound like you're doing something illegal. It's been given such a bad rap, and so stacking, you know, we are sound money savers, put it like that. A lot of us here. Yeah, I buy silver for the weight, no numismatics. Charles H. Yeah, numismatics. I touched on that last night about how, because I'm not really into the collectors. I'm not a collector, first of all. So numismatics, I believe, is more for those that collect. Saint Duck, what's up, buddy? And so for those that are willing to call themselves collectors and like to appreciate the fineness of certain mints and quantities and things of that nature, then numismatics might be your thing. But at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, I don't think if a person with a numismatic coin and a person with a generic round are going in the same direction, looking for exchanging goods and services, that person on the other end not going to really care about the coin and it being a nice shiny glass or plastic case with, you know, some certifications on it. They just want to make sure it's real and that it's something they can get value out of. Yeah, man. Anyway, so what's up? So I want to talk about, I want to actually, since I have a minute here, excuse me, you know, congested. Past weekend was, Memorial Day weekend was full of festivities, celebrating my birthday. And so I want to actually get into some comments since we are here. Get into some comments on some videos and whatnot. I like to give shout outs and just acknowledge those who are willing to take the time to share their thoughts on videos that I post. And also answer questions, because I don't really have a chance usually to get to a lot of questions directly. So I'll just thumb through some of the questions and comments. Anything that stand out, I'll mention it briefly. And as always, the phone line is open. Let me make sure my phone is on. Phone line is open. I'm able to take calls whenever you're ready to talk to me directly. And so we had here, it says, IMO president is just blathering about German cars because the GOP fat cats drive luxury German cars. Then we need to keep calm about the global economy. I've seen these dips before. Yeah, it's S. Douglas. You know, if you're watching, or we'll check this out later. As far as those dips are concerned, you know, the dips that you're referring to, I'm assuming with the stock market and just all the chain events that's happening in regards to all these countries going through issues. These dips are happening more frequently now. And so it's just I don't follow it regularly, but I do follow the mainstream narrative just to see what's going on. But there's been a stock market dip every couple of weeks over the slightest little bit of news out here or out there. The weather, wind blowing too hard over here, they're gonna stop dops, and there's so much stuff going on. So these dips are picking up pace to the point where it's gonna dip and drop, and that's gonna be ugly. It says how to get into the chat. Onyx stocks, how to get into the chat. It's probably too late now if you're not tuning into the chat, but if you're logged in to the right or bottom of your screen, should be an option to chime in. Here we have, this is 1929 replay, Smoot-Hawley Act, which caused a crash. Bring it down, build something new. Arthur, good one there. T. Dutch, there's one thing Peacock Trump fears more than United China and Russia. This is United Europe, and that's exactly what these idiots achieved. What else we got here? It says, crash the damn economy already and start fresh. Strip off that Band-Aid quick. Great job as always. Appreciate it, Delphine. What else we got here? It says, I can't wait for the economy to crash so I can make money out of it. I've been waiting for it and prepared to execute it when it happens. Not clanking. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the part about those that are aware and in tune already. That doesn't really help. It doesn't really help at the end of the day the overall community of preppers / those that are still asleep. Those are still, as I say, in the financial matrix or the monetary matrix. Because if you're, it's just different for me. Like, I'm not looking to make money out of a crash. I more so, a part of what I'm trying to do is to provide a vehicle of communication to reach out to many people as I can so that they can wake up. And I'm trying to unplug as many people as I can from the matrix of just thinking that that conventional narrative is going to be feasible much longer. And so the whole idea of making money, I think that's not a good approach for me to try to get to more people. I want to help people get through the difficult times, but also be able to preserve what they have. Even if you don't have anything as far as disposable income, you'll be better off holding a little bit of weight in comparison to ripping and running and trying to go make more paper when it's going to be the paper which will be the biggest problem. So that's just me. What else we got here? It says, plus he's only doing it because we're talking about Trump. It says, people better start buying up canned goods, etc. Going to get uglier. This is only his second year in office. Yeah. It says, we're in a bubble and it'll pop within the next year. I don't doubt it. It's going to be interesting to see how this bubble unfolds. It says, events going down in Nicaragua big but barely mentioned. Yeah, so no more Marxists. I touch on not Venezuela, but the Central American area, period, just because I tend to pay attention to those areas. So Nicaragua, I did a video or mentioned it in the video a couple days ago. And so until my phone rings, I can go through a couple more comments. So until somebody's willing to call in and chime in and share what's happening in their world or share some insight. We got as Asiatic name. It says, bleep the Italian government who is run by the Jews, Zionists. Bleep. I hope the people of Italy bleep burn all their institutions down. That's a lot of bleeps. Nothing will happen like nothing happened before in Greece. Yeah, Greece is crumbling at the seams. The people, are really learning the side effects of the word austerity. And that's another word that we haven't heard on the Western hemisphere yet of the words austerity. We hear the words reform. So we're currently experiencing what's called a tax reform, which is basically a way of positioning it to help the middle class. So they're told that we're going to cut taxes so that all the working class Americans can take home, $2,000 extra in your paycheck. Okay, but that's a temporary fix to a long-term problem that will not work, because in the meantime, St. Duck, happy birthday. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. It's past, but good looking. And so that's just a temporary patch towards just keeping this thing afloat, because if they cut down tax revenue and allow people to keep what they earn, which is, the whole idea of taxation itself is, I've never been, for it, but I abide by the laws. But anyway, so they got to get the funds, they got to get that remaining balance from somewhere, and it's going to come from borrowing. So most Americans ain't really thinking about, okay, what's the alternative side? What's the counter argument to that statement of, okay, you're going to give me some more money in my pocket, supposedly, as if that's going to help. But then on the other end, how are you going to get money? And how are you going to fund all the stuff that you're already behind? You're already behind in a lot of your bills, but a lot of people don't think about it that way. And so knowing that it's going to cause a greater deficit spending, they're going to have to borrow more, which means they're going to have to print more. So it's just this, we're about to experience, in my opinion, some monetary policy. And speaking of which, I had an interview on Future Money Trends with Daniel Amaduri, and I believe it'll be out this week. But we're about to experience some monetary policy like we could never even imagine. And let me tell you how I believe that. Because first of all, you look at what has taken place over the last 10 years of ZERP, NERP, using words such as quantitative easing, the EU right now is looking to stimulate their economy by buying up all types of things without even really mentioning about how they're going to then unleash and unload their balance sheet. So right now, our government, our central bank, Federal Reserve, they're loaded with mortgage-backed securities. Basically, they're the biggest real estate owner in our country. And then we have, what else we got? They got all types of government debt on deck. So you name it. But anyway, we have a call, so I'm going to start rambling. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Andor Cole from Sparks, Nevada.
Andor.
And I'm just calling. Yeah.
How you doing, my friend?
Name. I've been watching your show long time. I really enjoy it. I watch it every day. Like Greg Hunter, I watch his show too on USA Watchdog.
Yep. And
I get a lot of information from both you guys. I even text Greg Hunter to let him know about your show. I think you bring out a lot of good articles on things and stuff that he could use on his show, and vice versa. You could, because you have a lot of people on that's on his thing there. But what I'm calling about is that how does a government like this, our government, who's covering all this up, these people are all in there, could keep this thing going on? Don't they morals or something? Don't they realize this is going to blow up and that's just going to be worse for everyone, including themselves? It's like we've got so much corruption in our system.
Yeah,
it's shocking, really shocking. Instead of being honest about it. I mean, it's just like even Trump must be aware of some of this stuff.
He knows.
It's like it's not fazing him, or bothering him, or saying something about it, or it's all just being covered up till it blows up.
Yeah,
and you wonder how people like this could. It doesn't faze them at all. Like it doesn't. I'm thinking, gee, I couldn't do that as a person.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that kind of a job or whatever if I was in there. But I guess there's that much miss moral inside the politics of what's going on in our system. And another thing too is that more people like yourself, I'm seeing more of it on YouTube and stuff, bringing it out. And you would think that more of the pension funds, or there'd be more people disclosing about it, talking about it, but they're not saying anything because they're the ones that, they're going on and carrying it on like, well, it's no big deal, nothing's going to happen, and yet they're in charge of all these funds. Yeah. And they're billions of dollars. They must be somewhat smart enough to know what's going on.
Watch this.
They've learned all that.
Keep this in mind that I was just today listening to some commentary on that same subject matter. I was going to do a video, but didn't have time. But the idea that the people that are put in place, and as far as hedge funds managers, all these economists / financial advisors or whatever, and the people especially put in place in the municipalities as well as the other governing bodies, they have no real background to be able to balance a checkbook probably for their own household, but then they're going to be in a position and be appointed to a position where they're supposed to monitor and manage the funds of an entire city or state or a large group of people. They don't have the qualifications for it most of the time. So you can understand how you want to get in as an employee, do your job on the front end, and make all the promises you can so that it doesn't blow up on your watch. Because there's no real way of solving it. You just don't want to blow up on your own watch. And that's what it looks like for most of these people, because if they were to be honest and upfront, they would lose their job. And then that would mess up their pension and their family's name and their kids having a chance to run for Congress 20 years from now. So they got to play the game. They got to follow the script, or you're going to be blackballed from Washington, and that's all she wrote. You got to get a regular job and get up every morning and go somewhere like everybody else. They have it pretty unique on in D.C.
Right. But what I'm talking about is, okay, see, look at some of these people like CalPERS, the ones who run those funds. They must have some training and knowledge and monetary experience in school and stuff, and reason things out and all that. Now, you would think that they would be concerned and worry about it and say something, but it's all quiet. Nothing's talked about it. Nothing's said about it. CalPERS fund manager who comes out and runs California, or some of these other pension funds, and no one's even mentioning it. It's like it's in the dark. The only ones who mention is people like yourself, people like Greg Hunter, about how things are. All the media, I know the media, they say the mainstream media, but like you go on CNBC, you would think there would be one or two people that would come out and say some counter arguments about it. I can't believe all the people who are, they must have some kind of education on monetary policy if they got in there that work. They would say something about it. But no, it's like all quiet, all hushed up by a lot of people.
Yeah. Now watch this.
Surprising. Very surprising to me.
I imagine they know, because there's no way you cannot look at the data given to you. And coming into any job, you usually ask for just an overall viewpoint of where the company stands, or what's the books. You want to look at the books to make sure that you ain't inheriting a mess that might fall down on your watch. So everyone's they're in tune to what's happening. But the question would be is what can a single individual do about a problem that's systemic, that's been that way well before they were even probably in that line of work, first of all, or probably even born. Like the pension situation for me is a bigger subject matter that was around before I was even born. I'm just tapping into it because I have a heart for the older generation, because they're going to get shafted.
I feel sorry more for you guys.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've been paying into it.
Yeah.
But I look at it and I say, well, gee, all these young people are going to be paying into Social Security. They're going to get what they're going to get what they put into it.
Right.
I mean, I might get something back out of it. I'm hoping I do. I've been putting into it, but I look at it and I go, well, what about a person that's 30 years old, who's just coming out and he works really hard, he's getting a lot of money taken out of his check, he ain't going to get any of that money back. That's not right.
And a part of being alternative-minded would be to have the mindset of knowing that things are already changing, and that, of course, the narrative is you may not get Social Security, you may not get Social Security. I've heard that narrative, but a lot of people have been concerned with that for 20, 30 years now. But Alan Greenspan promised that no matter what, the government can always make sure you get a payment. So you're going to get a check in the mail more likely. Now, the question will be, what can you buy with it? So you're going to get your payout more likely. True. But the question is, what will you buy with it? And that's going to be where my generation, we and here's the thing. This is why I have hope in the younger generation, that a small few can get a hold of this information and begin to begin to become proactive with their own. And that's another thing. I don't really buy into the narrative of retirement. I don't like that word to me. That's a bad word to me, because a retirement, from what I've gathered in my little short time on this earth, is that you're basically saying that you would rather get up every morning, go somewhere you don't want to be, do things you don't want to do, be around people you don't like, because you want to save and work and live, provide for your family. And then when all that's done, then you're going to start living your life. And so I think the millennials have a chance because we are more tech savvy. So there's opportunity for us to hopefully, but yet I'm ramping though.
I agree with you about doing a job that you enjoy. That is very important. You do, but I'll tell you something, because I was like that. I like my job. I've been doing it. But when you do something for 30, 40 years, then later on it becomes a job. Because you've done it so long, you like it, you enjoy it. And it's good that you do that, because you're going to do that. A third of your life is working. So you might as well do something you like to do.
Right.
Don't worry about the money. Worry about what you enjoy doing. And if you can make a living, hey, that's great. And then I always manage my own money. My dad always saved money. He told me, he goes, I'd like to have a solid gold Cadillac. He was a teacher. He says, he tells students that, but he goes, I can't afford it. So he drove around used cars and all. And he had a lot of money, not in cars or anything, but he saved a lot of money for pension and stuff. So he could do what he wanted. Did it on his own. I tell people, I say, you know what is it costing you to take 10% of whatever you earn and put it away for tomorrow? You could put it away. You could do a job you enjoy, but put a little bit of money away for the future. And then that way you have something, which is better than nothing. That's what I tell people. I say save a little bit. Enjoy what you do. Try and do something you like to do, whatever it is, whatever your heart's into, and do it. But from my experience, I like what I'm doing. I've done it. But when you do it for 30, 40 years, when you get in there after 20 years or so, then it just becomes a job. It's not like it was when you first start out and you're really into it and stuff like that.
Right.
You've done it so long.
Right.
And, but at least I was able to survive and not mind going to work, because I liked what I was doing. And that's important.
Yeah.
But I always saved a little bit of money, so that way I have money to at least, maybe I could take a year off and do something. Go do something. I don't have to work the rat race or a couple years and then come back to the rat race. I said, you don't have to retire. You could just take a break and go do something and come back. But it gives you the opportunity to do that by having a nest egg. By having some kind of a nest egg.
I agree.
Whether it's gold, and I say, and I agree with you. You don't know where to put money. When I was in my 20s and 30s, the stock market was a good thing. Now I tell people, I said, I don't think the stock market and the 401k is a good thing anymore. I think I'd rather have gold and silver.
Right.
I tell them that. I said, it's not the same economy as it was 20, 30 years ago.
And,
I go, look at the deficit. There was no deficit like what we had when I was a kid. Nothing like what we had.
And watch this.
So it's not the same thing. And you have to adjust for the time.
Right.
That's what I did. I was a pro stock market guy. I bought stocks and dividend pay. Now I'm all in the commodities completely. I don't trust any of that stuff.
Now watch.
It's a different economy.
That right there, that approach there was great. And that right there, of course, everyone has their own different scenario and situations that they have to, keep in mind. But yet, to piggyback on that, and then I'll let you go. Thanks for calling. But it's
thank you. I really enjoy your show. I really enjoy it. Keep up the good work. You do a very good job.
Thank you for calling. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks.
No problem. Take care.
And to piggyback on that, right where he left off at, is the idea that just we've been conditioned and programmed based upon where society is now, as far as us being the global power, having a reserve currency, and being a heavy influencer of all political and economical events around the planet. So our mindset is a lot different than what it is for those that, per se, south of the border or, out west, as far as Asia, China, the nations that haven't had the privilege of growing up in a industrialized, revolutionary, monetary expansion based upon debt. So I say all that to hint at the idea that the advice and information and the knowledge that we're working with, based upon the school system, what it provides for us, what we learn in college and stuff like that, all that right there, in my opinion, is changing to where the advice that was given pre-Great Recession, people are about to experience and realize that advice doesn't work anymore, just because that advice that was given, such as make sure you save a certain percentage in this, diversify your portfolio. You want some growth swaps. You want to be aggressive and all those different strategies that were ideal when there was a time where monetary policy was quote unquote normal. When interest rates were 5-6%, people were earning money on savings and deposits and stuff like that. And you can actually invest with a real expectation of being able to receive a return without it actually being considered gambling like it is now. So I say all that to mention that because we're entering into a new paradigm of financial investing and stuff like that, and this is my opinion, the idea of saving now has to be really you have to hit that on a nail a lot finer with exactly what are you saving. Because people are going to see that it's the currencies that's the problem. So you can tell somebody to save money, set some money aside. That's what they said 20, 30 years ago, when you can actually set money aside. You can put $100 bills under your pillow, and next year that $100 bill still be there, purchase power wise. But now you put a $100 bill under your pillow, under your bed, you come back, it's going to be $98, $97. In the EU, it's going to be a lot less, euro wise. So what I'm saying is that the idea of just saving, telling people to save, telling people to put money aside, no longer will be ideal, because it's going to be the currency that you can't set aside no more. And that's where it's going to be important to be more specific and say, hey, you need to diversify and learn about the different types of legal tender. Now, to touch on the idea of legal tender, gold and silver from the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, is considered legal tender still. So if you go to the United States Code, I can pull it up in a minute, but it's there. I'll pull it up. But if you go to United States Code, it'll tell you what is legal tender. And then what's interesting is how in the parentheses, you can see how the word Federal Reserve note was added in, as they made amendments throughout the years. Back in 1913, it added the word Federal Reserve note in. But prior to that, it says that all debts, public and private, or something, U.S. Treasury, gold, silver, coins, and then it threw in Federal Reserve note. So helping people understand that there's a different type of storage of wealth. There's different types of legal tender that needs to be considered nowadays, because just setting the word money aside, you're going to be setting paper aside. You're going to have people doing the best they can, working 9 to 5, setting money aside like they're told to do. But then that paper, which is the problem, which is going to be the problem, is going to ruin, and it's going to destroy. It's going to just cause massive problems in people's lives, because they are doing what they're told. They're being told to save. But it's the problem. It's what they're saving is going to be the problem. So, Andor, not to go all heads into it, but the idea of saving. So for my generation, I'm more so like, okay, rethink the dollar. Like, what is a dollar? You know what I'm saying? What is a dollar? What was a dollar? What is a dollar? What is it going to be? And so if you actually study monetary history, you'll see during the coinage acts that a dollar was redefined several times, to the point where now all we know it as is a Federal Reserve note. And that's the type of stuff that I think needs to be clearly defined when you're talking to younger people, especially because the millennials, X Generation Z, X, and whatever they call them, they're the ones that have no clue. Like this past weekend, I was, met up with some friends or whatever, and a lot of my buddies, they're in different career fields, and one of them, was like, he catches my videos, and so he was like, I was, had my camcorder recording some stuff, whatever, just collecting memories. And he just made a point of mentioning that, regardless of all the Bitcoin stuff you talk about, whatever, make sure you're saving your 401k, max out your 401k, do all you can with your 401k. I'm like, this guy don't even know what a 401k is and the foundation of it, other than the fact that, because you have a match from your employer, you're going to max it out, and you don't even realize the pressure that's on the pension system. Like, that's the best way of looking at what's going to happen to your those type of investments that you hold on to. And I'm thinking like, wow, but I really am not in a position to say, look at them, look at the pensioners, look at all the 30, 40, 50-year-olds in Venezuela right now that have saved money, that invested in their 401ks and whatever they got down there, and look at that now, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? So, and another, to make it even worse, I love referencing Zimbabwe a lot. Like, I've had a Zimbabwean on my show, and so I really like to find out what's happening there, because that's a great example of a nation that was prosperous in every way possible, and they did everything they can. Even the guy I had as a guest. And if you guys aren't familiar, if you haven't, I want to make sure I recommend that you check this out, man, because these are the type of stories that really touch my heart, man. It made me like, it provides the fuel for me to keep going and just to try to share information to help people become more aware. But I think it's Ernest Robertson. I'm gonna pull it up, and then, as you notice, the clock is expired. So if no one doesn't call in, we're going to cut it short there. But I will, let me find because I've actually reached out to him since, and I haven't been able to reconnect with him because I want to find out how things are in Harare, Zimbabwe, and where he was born. And his story is so, you know, I was very honored for him to be on my show because he's an economist in Zimbabwe, and I came across him during a interview he was giving on a mainstream channel. Here we go. All right, I'll do the screen share. So if you go to the very bottom of this page here at the RTD University, if you haven't checked it out already, this is the, in my opinion, the greatest source of information to get a variety of viewpoints. And so this gentleman right here, episode number 52, Zimbabwe, we are a disabled country, John Robertson from Robertson Economics. And so this guy here, man, his story is unbelievable. He retired. We talked for a good little minute, man, off camera. It's like talking to your granddad, man. I had a great time, and I've been thinking about him. That's why I'm trying to reach out to him. But he retired initially at about 60, 62, whatever. Had a nice little 30, 40-year career, doing what he was doing. I forgot what it was. Retired at 60, was, doing well. Him and his wife, whatever, 10, 15, 20 years. Stuff started happening 1990-ish. He started realizing some problems. Then he started, getting into economics, where he actually went back to school, I think, and got his economics degree and became an economist later on in life. And so now he's like 75 or 76 or whatever, give or take. But this is 15, 20 years after he retired, and he lost all his money. I mean, he lost everything. He lost everything. So he's back working now, doing, commentary, stuff like that, and working, So I'm thinking, this guy, he had the privilege and the honor of being able to enjoy some of his retirement initially. But then his economy crumbled, and he wasn't fully aware of everything until it unfolded. Then he started paying attention. Lost it all. Now he's back working. So I'm thinking, man, come on, man. That's stuff that people need to hear. People need to be aware of stuff like that. But what else? So anyway, I'm getting carried away because that right there, that guy, man, reminded me of my grandfather. So it was real conversation. Yeah, teach on legal tender. Yeah, man, I will. I've actually done some. I have some videos stressing legal tender in the what's the name? What you call it? In the whiteboard presentations I've done. I've timed on several subject matters dealing with legal tender. So, but as always, I appreciate everybody tuning in. We did 3 nights in a row, people. I appreciate that. And just the commitment of, making sure I get home and do what I can to get online to connect, check in with the community. I want to just get as many new voices, many new faces, many new callers. I appreciate the call love and people getting a chance to voice your opinion. And so the RTD Live Talk, a voice for the people. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a unique angle and a perspective that needs to be echoed out to the community. And so, I'm going to do it for you. So other than that, here's some resources. RTD, connect with me on Steemit. Everybody should have a Steemit account because it's a way of getting into the crypto sector. Whether you believe in it or not, you can get involved just by sharing stuff that interests you and building a community there. So connect with me on Steemit and then, send me a message. Let me know you there. I'll follow you, show you some love. And then I have the free ebook, 5 Reasons to Hold Precious Metals Before the Next Recession. And I mentioned why and how I believe the next recession will probably be your last, and not a good way, of course. Then the webinar I'm working on, sign up for that webinar. More people are signing up, so I got to really give them the ball because people want it, and I got to get it. And I'm going to cover legal tender in that webinar for sure. And then RTD University, as always, that's where everything is at for your educational resources. And I believe, and people who are familiar with RTD University, the page itself, if you are newer to the channel and you happen to have watched 1 or 2 or just caught a title or something that opened your eyes or got you thinking about some things, I believe that if you watch 2 or 3 of those videos, whether they are newer interviews or older, it's all the same relevant subject matter and actually builds up on each other because the events get worse, as far as the deficit spending, the national debt. Like my very first video that I did 4 years ago with my buddy from Argentina, our national debt was like 16, 17 trillion. And I was talking about at that time, man, can it get to 20? What'll happen when it get to 20? Here we are past 20. We're in 21 now. So, can it get to 30? We'll see. So hopefully you guys will stick around for that. But other than that, share this information, get this out to other people so they can become aware. That's what this is all about. We got to reach more people. And then also here I have the RTD Silver Giveaway. We got exactly 14 days before I give a bar to somebody. So definitely go. The information down below in this video. Sign up, register, help me share this message, and go from there. So other than that, everybody enjoy your evening. I haven't received another call, So that means no one wants to talk to me. And then other than that, we will connect again next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Going to be the new format, pending anything changing. But other than that, enjoy your night, have fun, and keep doing what you do.